We continue learning Kitzur Yomi. We're in the middle of the halachas of Netilas Yadayim, Siman Mem. We pick it up from Sif Hey. Says the Kitzur Lachsha Natal Shtei Yadav Yishav Shefim Biyachad. After you wash your hands, you should rub your hands together. V'yag b'yim neged roy. You should lift them up to your head. K'mo shomer ha'kosav siyidechem kodesh v'chulu. The kodesh shemenaktim before you dry them. Yivarich. You make the bracha shekeshanav v'savit zivanu. Al netilas yadayim. And again, be cognizant, the Kitzur just taught us koidem before you dry them. Even though the karot mitzvah chleim koidem asiyasam nikamakam netilas yadayim. So the Kitzur is bothered. Why are you first washing your hands and then making the bracha? What happened to the rule that everything you make the bracha before you do it, so you should make the bracha before you wash your hands? Says the Kitzur. The Chaim Tiknu B'chol Netilas Yadayim. Therefore, they made a bracha that the Chaim Tiknu B'chol Netilas Yadayim. Therefore, they made a bracha for every Netilas Yadayim Levarich Achar Netila, to make the bracha after the Tila. Void, and furthermore, Gam Nigov Yadayim Humina Mitzvah, the drying of the hands, which one does after you make the bracha, is also part of the mitzvah. So therefore, the Kitzur is explaining to us that even though, yes, you should have made the bracha prior, but you had a problem because your hands were unclean. Therefore, what do? The ganiga v'yadayim, we have a second, therefore, you make the bracha after you wash your hands. And number two adds on the Kitzur, the niga of yadayim is part of the mitzvah. The drying your hands is also part of the mitzvah. He continues the Kitzur, those who have a middle lishvachal kol yad beis pamim. For 2 times in each hand, you shall tchila kol yad pam achas. 1 in each hand. Yishav should rub your hands together. Yivarech and make the bracha. V'achir shach pam shenis like kol yad. And then pour again. Note 24 points out from the Mishnah Berurah that of course is not our minhag. We pour it twice and then make the bracha. V'izar, be careful and nagiv yadav. You have to dry your hand properly. V'lei nagiv b'chalukah. Don't dry it on your clothing. Why? So the kasha l'shicha, drying your hands in your clothes is kasha l'shicha, causes one to forget his Torah. After you pour the water on one hand, you touch the hand that was not yet washed. Or another person who did not yet wash his hands touched your washed hand. Again, after you washed, but before you made the bracha. Then, as I need to made your hand tum. Maybe you have to dry them. Little pam shenis achamir loy kain la achar shekvar birich loy yevarich shenis. If you already washed your hands and you already made the bracha and your hands are just wet and someone didn't touch you yet, then and only then do you have to wash them again, but without a bracha. But again, once you made that bracha, then you would not have to. Mishain loy kli, says the Kitzur Siv Zayin. Someone does not have a kiyach little yadav, you can dip your hands in the river. Or be make shei little no shave. I like come on. I be mayan if you lean by them so. Rather, it's to be covered fully by the water one time. V'varak gam kein al netilas yadayim. B'shasat chag yoch little gam b'sheleg. And we shall call b'nei haaretz harbe. If there's a lot of stone on the ground, kamoy shir mikvah. B'sarch l'tiyada b'toich plump. If one has no other choice and you have to wash your hands from a pump, put one hand near the ground, the other shniya. You should draw the pump to the one on the other hand. Then it does not work. And of course, from here we just realize that washing your hands from a sink would not work for the fact that it's not considered a kli. Over here, the chiddush just is that it potentially could have the din of a kli and just a different issue. But over here, let's just read together note 34, which we call the Mishnah Berurah, that this is something that the pump is getting from underground spring, and it's connected. The pump is not considered a kli because it doesn't actually hold the water, and therefore cannot use it for netilas yadayim. But if your hand is completely covered by the flow from the pump, then it potentially could work. Now, lemaisa, regarding a sink, kimat ol paiskim right, it would not work, and you would not have this heter. Mayim shedeshana mareim, continues the Kitzur. water that their mareh, that their color became discolored, being machos b'kaimam, whether because of the place, and machos easy davar shtafel teichot, something fell into the water. Psulin l'netilas yadayim al. Neshana machos atzman, if it became discolored by itself, stam, then he can share. Mayim shenazvei malacha. Water that you did malacha with, it can go in. Sheduchbal kelim, you wash kelim, shar by yirakas, vegetables were soaked in the water. Or you fill the water from them, litzanam, to cool them off. That's an important one. This is going to be like a cooler. If you have a container filled with warm water and you put something else inside of it, the water to cool off the liquid, does use it to measure. Gam kim sulam. Gam mayim shenimasu, dispulsive water going to bem kelev chazir chadayim mishadinasik shayvchen v'yishach the frame. So disgusting water or water that was used cannot be used for netilas yadayim. Mish lo natav yadav so to not wash his hands and touch water. Lo nitu hamayim does not make the water tummy. L'chein hayotz v'zekis yachlish hamayim b'chav them in a chavis. You let it scoop water out from the barrel with his hands. To wash your hands. And the rest of the water in the barrel, even though touch your hands that were tamei, ksherin l'netilas yadayim. Aval. If he rubbed his hands in the water with the bell and akoisam, and this is something, unfortunately, sometimes you'll be at a place that they'll have washing water. So if someone sticks their hand inside to clean his hands, that pots up all the water, because then all the water is considered that malacha was done with him. Salty water, putrid, bar and bitter, akura muddied, and main real has kelev, then psul until zidayim. If you're not live before you wash your hands, says the Kitzur Yomi, your hands should be clean. Nothing should stick to them. Misha Barney, that's why it's a kedelos, you have long fingernails. You got to clean them off. So you don't want mud or dirt underneath them. You have to remove rings from your fingers so it does not become a chatzitza. Note 52 points out, it sells a chatzitza if you don't care. Why? Listen to this one, according to Mishnah Berurah, because you don't always wear it. Sometimes you take it off. From here we realize, let's say you do always wear it. Let's say a woman, mamish, wears it to shower, to bed, to bath, to need. She always wears a ring. Then she would not have to take off the ring. She would allow to wear it even for netilas yadayim. Misha yadav sevuos, if your base, your hands are colored. It means shema mashas at seva. For example, you have a pen mark in your hand. There's no mamashas there. Kim chazuta ba'alma, just the appearance of the ink. Lo yahave chatzitza. If there is coloring in the hands, however, if you're an uman, then you shoot sabo, you're a dairvachem, you shoot tabacha, butcher, the milchos midam, I shoot cipher, that's milchos midiyah with ink, v'urago bekach, and you have it all the way, v'chebali umnis, zois in makvidim bekach, levichatzitza, l'mkenu b'roi v'yad. Ramesha Feinstein, we know Ramesha wrote all day, his hands used to have ink in it, he would say, I'm allowed to wash with these hands, because umnis bekach. And therefore, similarly, someone who writes, maybe a preschool teacher that might have some paint in her hands, or ink on her hands, they should say, as long as there's no mamashas, you can actually feel it, she's not makbid, and you'd be able to wash with it. And you have a band-aid that is painful to remove, and you're allowed to wash even with the band-aid on. Says note 55, according to Mishnah Berurah, very importantly, because it's pain, we don't have to be worried I'll take it off and I'll touch something during the meal, and therefore you could leave it on. However, if it's not painful to be removed, then of course it should be removed. Sif Yod Gimel, and with this we conclude for today. Al Hayodayim has gone to your hands. Mikoyach Gavri, you have to pour it. Avlamayim comes on its own, loving Netila. Chavi Shishvem Barza, a barrel that has a plug. This is a barrel, you remove the plug. The first gush of water, that's the Gavra. The water keeps on flowing out. So let's say you want to use such a pitcher, such a barrel. The first splurt has to touch your entire hand. And you close it, and then you open it again for the second pouring. If you can't figure it out, you shouldn't wash your hands this way. As we already pointed out, you should not wash it from a basin, sheish bars, a ketana, small bars of dak, and it's narrow because it's not going to cover your hands. And we already pointed out similarly that one should not wash his hands from a sink. Pick it up from here, Bisiyata Dishmaya.